Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to talk about how fake and janky the ray tracing of Dr. CHAO Gaming is. For those of you who don't know who Dr. CHAO Gaming is, he is a Facebook and YouTube Skyrim content creator, but is first and foremost a troll. How do I know that? It's because right now he's trolling. He has just trolled my post, which I made a day ago. And here he says fake ray tracing. And so it's time to rebut his claims. Okay? In another video I made 2 months ago, he says there is no ray tracing for Skyrim. 8K textures. This look very close to vanilla textures. Notice the third grade spelling of this epileptic man-child who presumably drools and breathes through his mouth as well. Okay, so let's get to know Dr. CHAO Gaming better. Now, if you're going to go to his channel, just click on this link here, 360 EDUB, and you will be on his channel. Okay, so let's take a look at one of his videos and see who Dr. CHAO really is. Let's enlarge this.
Link's black.
My black son! My black son! Now each day my heart is getting bigger!
Alright, so take note of Dr. CHAO Gaming's features. First of all,
So yeah,
the cap. Secondly, the distinctive eyebrows. Third, the glasses. Fourth, the facial hair. And last, the nostrils. That is Dr. CHAO Gaming. Now, since I have mentioned that Dr. CHAO is a troll who attacks the Skyrim content of other gamers on Facebook and YouTube, he uses 3 dummy accounts on Facebook to do his dirty deeds. Now, these 3 troll accounts are named Elsworth Bottomley, which incidentally is his real name. Secondly, Scotian Love, which recently he made his attack dog since the first one was banned in many groups. And last, Gentleman Fletcher, which presumably he will use once the second one has been banned. Now let's take a look at their features. Again, take note of the cap, the distinctive eyebrows, the glasses, the facial hair, and the nostrils. Let's take a look at Elsworth Bottomley, his real name account. So take note of the cap, the distinctive eyebrows, the glasses, the nostrils, and the facial hair. Here you can see everything but the glasses. Notice that Dr. CHAO Gaming likes to show off his ripped bod and wears a cap because getting those ripped abs caused him to have alopecia, which he hides with a cap. Okay, so that is Dr. CHAO Gaming. If you really want to know if Dr. CHAO is a real person, who Dr. CHAO is in real life, all you have to do is type Elsworth Bottomley on the Google search bar. There you go. Go to images and click on this link, the first link that you see. And here you will see an article relating to Elsworth Bottomley. Okay, so let's get rid of the ad there. And that is Elsworth. Take note of the distinctive eyebrows, the glasses, the nostrils, and the facial hair. This time he doesn't wear a cap to hide his alopecia. So that's that. Now let's go to Dr. CHAO. How Dr. CHAO has trolled me in my posts. Okay then. First of all, let's discuss what ray tracing is, since Dr. CHAO is very keen on telling me that there is no ray tracing for Skyrim. Okay, so for those of you who have watched videos of ray traced games, I'm sure you have a clear idea of how it works. For those who are new to the concept, ray tracing in a nutshell is how light interacts with objects and with space. So ray tracing should be able to give you an impression of how light is accurately rendered in 3D space and in its interactions with objects. So space and objects, that means distance and intensity. So factors like the distance of the light to the object and the intensity of the light in a specific space. Another thing is that ray tracing concerns itself with tracing the paths of light rays from the viewer's perspective to create realistic images and effects. So ray tracing should actually give us a realistic impression of effects, okay, in creating a 3D world. Okay, so these are the concepts that you need to know. Okay, tracing light, rendering objects, and evoking a 3D space. So let's now go to my video. Alright, so this video was made 2 months ago, and from the get-go you will see different sources of light. First of all, the candlelight here, the light of the brazier here, which emits a yellow color. So therefore the light here, the shading on the wooden structure here is kinda yellow. Okay, there's a second source of light, which is daylight, which of course comes from the sun. Now the light from the brazier impinges on the armor, as well as and no less the sunlight. Okay, so shiny armor is a good gear to use to see how light or rays are traced. So the yellow color is here, and the white sunlight, daylight, is seen here, and you could actually see the interplay of both colors on the armor. Okay, so that is how the intensity of the light is rendered. Multiple light sources are rendered in ray tracing. Let's play this video. Okay, so notice the grades here, the gradations of the shades here. Okay, yellowish here. Okay, daylight here. And since the light reflects on the wooden structures, panels, the wooden panels are yellowish. Okay, so there's a tinge of yellow on her skin because of course the machine would like to render the light from the brazier on the character's face. And note how the yellow flame, the color of the flame, also impinges on the horse statue here. And the light, the daylight also impinges on the statue of the horse itself. Okay, so we have turned this we've fast forwarded the time to the afternoon, where the volumetric lighting has rendered the lighting has rendered afternoon lighting. As you can see, the flame, the color of the flame impinges on the armor, and the daylight continues to impinge on the statue of the horse. Of course, the flame also contributes to the illumination of the horse with its particular color. Notice the color of the tiles there, of the rocks, the ground rather, that has been hit by daylight, and for the parts that are not hit by daylight, you can see that ground being having the yellow color of the brazier's flame. Okay, so notice the evocation of light sources here, yellow here. Okay, the gradations become gradual. Okay, so let's review that. Okay, so alright, so notice the light here, of course, daylight. There's still daylight as seen on the light on the horse. Okay, so that's that. That is ray tracing based on the distance of the light source from objects and its intensity. Now let's go to another video of mine. Here, more or less, it's more or less in the same place. I just wanted to show how the light changes according to how the light is rendered in the dark.
Greetings.
Okay, notice while the flame is billowing, moving, it creates appropriate changes in the shade on the horse statue. Okay, let's review that again. See that one more time. The billowing on the horse statue, that is also part and parcel of proper ray tracing. Okay, so let's now go to this video where
During your time in Skyrim, you're gonna have to make a lot of difficult choices, but sometimes a choice will come along.
Freaking ads, annoying. Alright, so as I mentioned, ray tracing is also tracing the light rays, the path of the light according to the viewer's perspective. Okay, so here we will see how light comes through the grills of the windows and renders shadows on the floor. Okay, so mist is also rendered here. Okay, so as you can see, light is traced and the shadows are rendered in a physically believable way. Okay, now the troll here actually said that why are all your textures and lighting, this is supposed to be lighting, again third grade spelling from this man-child, Why are all your textures and lighting so bland and yellow? Your excuse last time I asked that was because you were outside and because of the sun. But now you're inside and looks like it's outside, bland yellow. There's nothing ultra about this video. So here is the troll trying to make his case. So let's take a look at the light sources here in this video. One is from the outside and traces the light, and the light is traced so that shadows are rendered on the floor through the grills, and also the lighting coming from the inside, which come from the candles. And one thing of course would be the daylight coming from above. If you have been to the temple of Kinnereth, you will notice that there is daylight coming from the ceiling. Okay, so multiple light sources are rendered here. As you can see, the shadow of the character is here. Alright, so the light coming from the windows is rendered here. Another light source is rendered here. And from a stronger illumination source we have brighter light. So there is no flickering. There is no flickering. Okay, so this is the light source of that particular cell, the candles. So only this part, and only this part, this cell here is illuminated by candlelight. So that's why it has the space there is yellow, has a yellow color, yellowish color. Here it's not yellow, the color is different. As you can see, there is also candlelight near the walls of every near the walls, at the walls of certain spaces. Alright, so notice how the color, how the lighting affects the color of the background. Okay, now notice that there are flames, there's candlelight here, okay, there are braziers here, okay, and so the machine will also register the light sources and their reflections will be seen on the armor. So that is something that Dr. CHAO didn't catch. So notice the face a little bit yellow because of the flames of the braziers. Okay, so that's that. Now, similar to the windows here, similar to the light being traced through window grills, would be this example here. Daylight or light from the from outside the dungeon comes from above, that is from the ceiling, and the only light source here would be this, presumably from another brazier. So there are only two light sources, this one and that one. And a decent dungeon will, a decent immersive dungeon will only present you lighting from legitimate and existing light sources. Okay, so this is the light coming from above with appropriate mists, rendering of the mist or dust. Of course, I'm using ENB light, so whatever magic I have on my hands, its light would be reflected on the armor. Take a look at the quality of that. That is pure 4K. That's 4K resolution, my friends. 4K. Compare that with Dr. CHAO Gaming's maximum of 2K resolution, right? 2K resolution, just 2K for Dr. CHAO. Alright, so let's go back there again. Okay then, so the light source here casts, illuminates that small portion of that area here, and the light from above illuminates that. Okay, so as you can see, somehow my eyes are illuminated either because of the gemstones on her head or because of the brightness of the magic in her hand. Okay, so everything is illuminated front and back with no flickering. No flickering. Okay, you will see later how in Dr. CHAO's video there is flickering, as you can see here. Flicker. Flicker. One more time.
See those warriors?
Flicker. Alright, so that doesn't happen in my light tracing. Okay, notice how there are the gradation of light, grades of light, the gradients are faithfully rendered here. Since the upper half of the pillars is since daylight is coming from above, the upper part of the pillars would be illuminated and the lower half wouldn't be. Take note that this post was made 3 years ago, whereas Dr. CHAO's ray tracing video was only made 11 months ago. Notice the gap between the two productions, two outputs. There are at least 2 years that separate them, and you will notice how Dr. CHAO's ray tracing is so behind the curve. Daylight from above. Okay, so let's now go to a more extensive use of ray tracing. This time in Whiterun as well. Here you will see all of the effects being implemented here in this video. Ray tracing, wind effects, smoke effects, mist or fog effects, dust effects. The works, in short. Okay, so there are wind effects which will move the leaves, and the light must be rendered in a way that will capture the movement of the leaves as shadows are created on the ground. Lovely stuff. Let's see that again. This is the pinnacle of ray tracing. Okay, so there are wind effects, smoke. Of course, the ray tracing also operates on that brazier, on the lighting, on the statue of the horse. Okay, so notice the movement of the leaves there and how the shadows are rendered. Alright, perhaps the best example of how ray tracing works is this video I made 3 years ago. Alright, just like this video here, both were made 3 years ago, as opposed to that one Dr. CHAO Gaming posted 11 months ago. So this is what happened. This is ray tracing basically 3 years ago. Alright, so now heads up, the sun is coming from that direction. There are two light sources, of course, one from the flames here, rendered by on the statue of the horse, and of course the daylight here. And there are obstructions. The trees themselves are obstructions to that light, so therefore shadows are cast, and the light that passes through would be traced and rendered correctly on the ground, as what proper ray tracing should do. Okay, so the illumination comes from the brazier here. All right. Buffering. Okay, so alright, so look at that. That is ray tracing, ladies and gentlemen. There are spots where light comes through, and this is rendered. Now, obstructions do not let light pass through, so you can only see gaps in the trees. Where there are gaps in the trees, the light comes through, and this is rendered on 3D space. In 3D space. Okay, lighting here, lighting here, lighting there. Okay, so here you go. Okay, so the only light that impinges, that comes through, would be seen on this character, as well as on the certain portions of the building here. Okay, so this is proof of ray tracing, ladies and gentlemen. Light here, shadows there, light here, shadows there. Okay, alright. The sun, this tree here obstructs sunlight, and therefore only appropriate shadows are rendered. Another time, let's see another one. Okay, so here the character is now fully lighted. Okay, so as you can see, she turned her back, or she did a profile to show you that there is no flickering. Okay, and see here the gradations of lighting here. Okay, there's a 360 to show you that there is no flickering. No flickering or the jankiness or the ray tracing becoming janky. Strange, that only got 2 likes. I wonder why. Now this is the final example of ray tracing. I have mentioned that ray tracing should be able to account for light in 3D space, in a 3-dimensional space, and should give you an impression of a 3D space based on the intensity of the light and its distance from physical objects. So let's see here how it works. So this is more or less an ill-lit room in the Dragonborn Museum. The only light sources are here, and since these are flames, the only lit portions would be this. Also there is daylight coming from above, so these are the light sources. Of course, since the character doesn't have light in front of her, there is no need to illuminate, there is no reason to illuminate this frontal portion. Okay, light comes from above, therefore this should be the only part that should be lit, and you can see the eyes because there is no frontal illumination. Okay, so no flickering, 360 degrees without flickering. Okay, so that's farther. The light source has been, the mage light has been thrown to that wall. Let's see the intensity of that light. Again, the purpose of ray tracing is to give you an impression of 3D space. So the lighting should give us an impression that the space is actually 3D. Alright, so we have a little light, therefore we can see the character's face now, whereas a while ago you couldn't. Okay, so we can now see features of the armor here, and that light is based, this kind of lighting is based on that distance. Okay, let's now throw a mage light that's closer to us. Okay, now this light is closer to the character. Okay, see the intensity, the increase in the illumination. Okay, so this is how ray tracing should work. The nearer you are to the light source, the brighter the rendering of the light should be. Of course, since the light only impinges on the back, there should be no lighting here. There should be no universal lighting where you can see everything. Alright? Since only light it only impinges on the back of the character, there is no need for the frontal part of the armor to be seen. Alright, so again, she turns and then you can see the details. Okay, so this is proper light tracing. Light is only rendered when it is allowed to pass through obstruction. Okay, so the lighting here, notice how it evokes 3D space. Okay, 360 without flickering. Alright, let's now go to Dr. CHAO's own ray tracing LOL. Okay, let's start from the beginning, of course. So you will know the long and short of his quote-unquote ray tracing. Okay, so first thing you have to ask yourself is, where are the light sources? Where are the light sources? And what accounts for the glary smudging of the light on this armor? This is so unnatural. What is this? This doesn't happen in real life. Okay, so let's now see. First of all, let's see where the light sources are. Now we know that there are lights on at the back of this character. Another light source there, so 2 light sources. 3 light sources, 3 or 4. Okay, but then when the camera is panned, the illumination here becomes absent. Suddenly becomes dark, and you will see glare coming from a different direction, not coming from the back but from the side. Okay, this implies that light is coming from the side. So this is the irony here. Can you see the jankiness of Dr. CHAO Gaming's ray tracing? There are no light sources in front of the character where the glare on the armor had been produced, and ironically the direction of the light sources at the back from which illumination should have come from, does not light this portion. So this is 101% jankiness. Okay, jankiness comes in again. Alright, so where are the light sources? No light source here. So ask yourself, what explains the glare, the smudgy, janky, unrealistic glare of the light on this armor? Where does that come from? Knowing that the only light sources come from the back. Okay, so that's that. Finally, let's see how Dr. CHAO Gaming's ray tracing generally works in his gameplay. So we shall be looking at 6 minutes of his application of ray tracing here. Notice the light sources, okay, at the side. Alright, so you don't know what caused this glary smudging on the armor. You don't know because, number one, there is no light source bright enough to produce glare like this on armor, and it's not even raining. Okay, so it's not even raining. Why the glare? Because it's supposed to be lens effects or visual effects because light impinges on rain, but that's nonsense. Okay, so notice this light source. Presumably, when this character comes across or gets near this brazier, this part would be illuminated, but it doesn't. No light is rendered here in this place. Jankiness. Light is rendered here. So let's alright, so let's go back there again. Okay. Again, light source here. There should be light traced here. No light is traced. Okay, so one of the janky things about Dr. CHAO Gaming is that his torch doesn't go out even in the rain. Where is the glare of the armor here when there is no light source? There is no light source that would produce it. See? No light source that would produce it. Okay, now notice that as she walks, the ground is barely illuminated by the torch, and you can't see the differences in the gradients, light gradients here where the torch is held, and in this area on the right where the torch is farther away. So he has made, he's put on a brighter torch here. Realistically speaking, this is not a proper torch. It illuminates a large space, a large area. Okay, so we're now entering an area which is weirdly illuminated. Okay, so notice, ask yourself, where is the glare, where is the light source that would produce an intense illumination on this statue? Where is the light source? It's already well lit from the get-go, and the only light source that you have is that bonfire over there. Why is that? Why is the light brighter here than on that statue, knowing that this is farther away, this statue is farther away from that bonfire than this is? Okay, notice the glare here, this glare produced by this torch, so unrealistic. It's a smudgy glare on armor. Smudgy glare on armor. Notice that Dr. CHAO doesn't do a 360, doesn't do 360-degree panning of his videos because it will reveal his janky ray tracing. So he didn't even care to show us if the light emitted by that fiery dragon actually has an effect on her armor, on her face, on her frontal side. All she cares about is her torch. Okay, notice the glare here. Ask yourself what kind of light source would produce this kind of glare on that gate. A torch? LOL! This is level 1 gaming and level 1 modding. Okay, did you notice that? There should be somehow a rendering of light on the character's head when she passes under that lantern, but there is none. There is no rendering of light when the character passes under the lantern. No rendering of light, no ray trace. The same thing, no difference in the shading on the head when she passes under the lantern. Okay, so finally, this is the last example of the jankiness of Dr. CHAO Games ray tracing. We shall slow down the frames for you to be able to see how the glare, how light is rendered on the gates. Notice this gate over here, okay, as she passes by it. Did you see that? One more time. Maybe let's do it, make it slower. Let's do it 0.5. 0.5 is better. Okay, notice the glare over there. Ask yourself, can a torch actually produce this kind of glare. It seems 38 people were impressed by this. Same glare. Okay, so same problem. Okay, same problem. Okay, that's that. I think you have seen enough. Now, let's go to my final example from my end of proper ray tracing. Now, notice that notice how the lens of this sunglasses, of her sunglasses, changes, how the reflection changes as the camera is panned. So the camera will take account of parallax, that is the motion, how it renders light according to how the point of view moves. So we're going to pan, this camera is going to move, and you will see how the lens of the sunglasses will change, completely black, change, and you could actually see the reflections of physical objects on her lens. Okay, so here you could actually sense that space is being evoked here. This would be the structure of the houses here. So even on the lenses of that glasses, there is still light tracing at work, ray tracing at work. Okay, that's that. Now, since we have talked about the jankiness of Dr. CHAO Gaming's ray tracing, if you're interested in seeing more of the jankiness and the glitchiness of Dr. CHAO's modding, you can watch my other videos here. Okay, so you can see here how Dr. CHAO has styled himself to be an ultramodder. Okay, Dr. CHAO Gaming, ever since he installed his NOLVUS MODPACK, began styling himself as an ultra modder, next gen modder, having an ultra modded next gen Skyrim. LOL. Okay, here he makes everyone believe that he is using third grade spelling here, using a 4090, and I have 128 gigs of RAM, and this is the impression he would like to give everyone, that he is the cutting edge modding guru. Okay, the guru of cutting edge Skyrim modding. Okay, just because he has ray tracing and all this hand-me-down NOLVUS mods. Okay, so here you could download, you could watch this video of mine, how Dr. CHAO Gaming deceptively uses ultra-modded and next gen to describe his Skyrim modding. In fact, in this ray tracing video I showed you a while ago, here, he actually said that someone asked him, got to know the specs of your PC, and he said 4090 GPU i999K, CPU with 128 gigs of RAM and a 4 TB SSD hard drive. LOL. And my video here, this video, how Dr. CHAO Gaming deceptively uses ultramodded and next gen to describe his Skyrim modding, documents how Dr. CHAO tries to deceive people in making them believe that he has a beast rig, okay, that will render the cutting edge next gen Skyrim modding of as offered by the NOLVUS MODPACK. So all the videos here will be included, the links of these videos here will be included in the description. You can watch this, how the NOLVUS Skyrim mod pack of ULTRAMODDER and Dr. CHAO Gaming's Glitchy, Janky, and Crash Hungry. Okay, let's see that. Okay, I'll give you a short sample of that.
I want to make sure I get like a good...
Let's go to this example here, where his impending battle, his game crashes while it is saving. LOL.
What time is it here? I don't think I can see the time in here. Shoot. I want to make sure I get like a good nice visual for when all the dragons leave from the mountain top. Uh-oh, I think we're gonna crash, guys. No! We did. Uh-oh, I think we're gonna crash, guys. No! We did. Okay, I think we're gonna crash, guys. No! We did.
Alright, so this video actually documents all the glitchy, janky, and crashy parts of his ultra-modded and next-gen game. Now, this video of mine actually summarizes all the ultra-modding fails of the troll Dr. CHAO. Okay, so all of the links of the videos I have made on Dr. CHAO will be included in the description on this video. So enjoy and see Dr. CHAO the troll for what he really is. LOL.